Today is Wednesday, May 24th, 2017. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is our recap of the Survivor Game Changers finale.
That's right. Season 34 has come to an end. We're here to talk about this last episode and the reunion show. The episode title was No Good Deed Goes Unpunished. No surprise, that was from Suri.
Yep.
We guessed it. Seemed logical. Spot on. First thing of the night that we got right wouldn't be the last. Okay, Probst kicks us off by telling us that there's going to be more history made tonight, and he certainly delivered on that, didn't he?
Yep.
There's a packed house there at the CBS studios is for the people in the audience to watch the finale. Starts with a summary. There's 6 left. We got Ty with 2 idols, and Troy with an idol, and Sarah with a legacy advantage. Started off with 20 game changers in Fiji, and we had great gameplay early. Referenced Sugargate. Quick cut to Sandra making eyes at the camera, breaking the fourth wall there. Sarah loaning the legacy advantage to Suri. You got Debbie blowing up at Brad again. We're told they're unforgettable tribal councils and epic face-offs. A very emotional season. And the Suri attempt that failed, and Michaela's out, and everyone is scrambling. Sarah's described as aggressive after the merge, taking them out one by one, and the legacy advantage will get her to final 5. Troy's in, we're told, playing from the bottom. This is that's an excellent summary of his game as it turned out.
He played quietly, they said.
Yeah, from the bottom. Choosing his timing and never giving up, even though he was down and out at certain points.
And will he make a move?
Ty, the hidden immunity idol expert, he's played those so patiently, waiting, not playing them when we thought, how in the world could you not do that?
That was an improvement in Ty's game for sure.
Yeah, although he showed some of that reserve even in his first season in Co Wrong. We had Culpepper, a.k.a. Culpepper. He had an early, strong social game, and then he ended up on the wrong side of the numbers after the merge. And he's been winning challenges, and that may be, we're told, his only way to make it to the end.
Looks like that was true.
Aubrey, full of highs and lows. She was viewed as a strategic powerhouse, and
Can she find her way to the final 3?
Yeah, gotten close.
Or will she be voted out for the first time ever?
Yeah, exactly. And she tells us in her quick confessional that she's in deep doo-doo. Nice summary from Aubrey, not going the intellectual route. And Suri, social savvy gameplay is how she's described. She never found an idol. She never won an individual immunity challenge. But she's a legend in the game.
Can she make it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had already grieved for Suri this weekend.
You did.
It wasn't as hard for me tonight because...
So you picked your order? You thought how it was going to go down, and then you made peace with the fact that you had Suri going out first?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much. I thought I just didn't see, and yet, of course, it didn't happen the way I envisioned it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think Sarah was going to listen to her. I didn't think she was going to pursue that. I thought she was just going to, that's it, Suri. So it didn't exactly happen how I thought, and it was certainly a more interesting way, but I jump ahead. Let's not.
Well, let's talk about that. They're back from Tribal Council on night 35. Whoa. Good lead in there, babe.
Okay.
Sarah wants to know who's a rat, and Suri wants to know, well, what did Michaela do? How come she got voted out?
Well, thank you, Suri, because that's exactly what the rest of us wanted to know, and it was what we thought.
Sure. Yeah.
It's your right-hand girl.
Yes. Sarah confirmed that. And Cherie tells us that Ty was indeed the rat.
Well, I thought
what did you think about Ty's attempt to pretend that he had just found out right there at Tribal?
I totally thought he was going to stick with that. And Cherie was done.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't even take a whole lot of push from Sarah to get Ty to cave.
Angry. Yeah.
Just be honest with me, Ty.
Yeah.
Just tell me the truth, did you? And then he just totally caved and said,
yes.
Well, yeah, I was targeting you, but I was scared. And, blah, blah, blah. And so she just stopped to listen to him for a second and just turned to Cherie and said, sorry.
Ty says, I am Ty the liar now. I need someone to hang on to. I need someone to help me.
I really do like Ty, but a lot of the time he's out of his depth in the game. It just seems to swallow him up, and he gets too confused, and if anybody confronts him very much, he just caves.
Or if you talk to him, he's like a little windsock flipping around with whatever direction the breeze is blowing. That
would be the hardest part.
The description that you get over and over from his first season and through this one too.
Yeah.
What did you think about how he approached Brad? We had seen some preview of this in the Next Time on Survivor after the last episode, where he shares with him that he has 2 idols. And then he goes on to say, well, what should I do?
Well, number one, why would anybody trust anything Ty said, especially when he's desperate? Which, they were privy to the conversation. It's not like they were off at another camp somewhere and didn't know what he was telling Sarah. Weren't they in the vicinity?
I'm talking about when he's talking to Brad. Sorry,
I am too.
Moved past that. I'm
also talking about that.
Okay.
His conversation with Brad.
There was no one shown near them.
Brad was in the vicinity when Ty was confessing all that. So he knew that Ty was on the outs. He was going to be looking for somebody. I'm sure he was expecting the visit.
Okay. I asked you what you thought about him sharing it with him. So you're saying you thought Brad was expecting it because he saw it all go down.
Yes, and
okay.
I think that's part of the reason that Brad took such a hard line with him was that,
and that's
he's desperate.
Really what I want to focus on there, because this is the going with Liam's trend a little bit. Instead of Pull Pepper, I started calling him Bull Pepper at this point because he had flipped into bully mode. So Ty tells Brad, I got these 2 idols, what should I do? And Brad's advice, pretty clear, just stay quiet for now. I'm your key. We'll keep it locked up between us. And then Brad tells us in his confessional, well, I'll manipulate him again. That's what I'll do. And this is the reason, maybe it's undeserved to some degree, but this is exactly the reason that Brad has the reputation, the perception of him. Because he did this before to John. He did this to other people on his tribe, where he gleefully manipulated them and bragged to other people. Remember when he said, watch this, I bet I can make John forgive me, or something to that, when they were doing one of the duels. He liked to show off that he could manipulate people, and that side of him and that bully side of him that ends up coming out here in the recap that he was so concerned about in the reunion show, that's where that negative stigma comes from for him, even though he's had some excellent gameplay over the season.
Yeah, and Brad said, well, Ty's thrown me under the bus many times, so I don't have any qualms about doing the same back to him.
Yeah, it's some of it's about how that person's going to feel when they see what you did and how you did it.
Yeah, I think they showed us more of his arrogance coming throughout the night.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a deliberate edit.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, immunity challenge number 1.
Not only immunity, but award. Reward. Community plus award is how I wrote it down. So we got this big, gigantic maze. You got a puzzle at the end. They got to collect 3 bags of puzzle pieces, and they got to solve another one of these compass rose puzzles again. Similar to the last immunity challenge. Similar but different.
And for chicken parm and key lime pie.
Yeah, and spaghetti.
All
sounded good. Which is which is another reason I don't buy Brad's Snickers remark too much.
Yeah.
But we'll get back to that when we talk about it in the reunion show.
Okay, so long story short, Brad wins.
Okay.
I just knew he was going to win this one.
You did?
I just did.
How did you know?
I just saw the challenge and I went, oh, Brad's going to win that. Though he wasn't as, he didn't take it by as much as I thought he might.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he'd get back a lot sooner with all the pieces and stuff too.
Haven't we seen that strategy from Ty before, where he just follows someone through a challenge? It's not a bad strategy.
I don't know, but
guess.
it worked fine.
Especially when you got an equalizer like a puzzle at the end. You don't have to be first to everything.
Exactly. Well, and I liked it because he seemed very confused about the maze, and it was just easier for him to be. He was only a few steps behind Brad.
Yep.
So, like you say, I think that was a good play for Ty and made it easier for him.
Troy Sam was doing pretty good. In the beginning, he got off. He was leading for a little bit. Sarah and Sari were coming up quickly on the second bags. And then everyone ended up working the puzzle together. So like you said, it ended up being a lot closer than you would expect. Ty struggled with that puzzle. And I don't know if we ever saw a piece from Sari. At
No,
one
she
point,
did. I'm sure she
At
did.
one point, Probst commented, "No pieces from Sari in the actual frame of the puzzle."
Well, but she was putting it together, I think, on the table. She was trying
at
to
them.
put it together
Yeah.
and look at it on the table and have the pieces in the right order. My thought was Cerie's laying it all out, and then she's just going to put it in instead of trying to figure it out while she's putting it in.
That was the thought. But even when
I don't think
with
it worked well for her. But
Culpepper struggled and then realized that he had missed a piece, and Sarah, thinking she might have done it too,
Oh,
followed his
man.
lead.
if we could have just picked those bags up ahead of time. So, you left a piece in there. Too bad.
So Culpepper wins immunity and reward.
Okay.
At which point he comments to himself or to everyone about his performance. Pretty good for a dumb jock, huh? Yeah, he's gloating a bit more again.
Yep.
Not the outburst that we got before, where he was screaming expletives and kicking sand on the beach.
Maybe that's why he showed more emotion in later.
Okay, no surprise. He picks Troy for the meal. They've been tight as long as they've been together. And then Sarah. Were you surprised by that?
No,
Why?
because I thought he felt that was his best shot, and I thought he was arrogant enough in his abilities that he didn't think Sarah was that big a threat to him in any way.
Well, Sarah's certainly thrilled as a break that she felt like she needed. She says after that last tribal council drama, she's not sure where she stands with people, and this reward's going to help solidify her spot.
Well, and she had an alliance with them before, and
That she
the
turned on.
alliance is this season, but they've been flipping all over the lines back and forth.
Some people have, yep.
they didn't seem to hold that against people. Well, some more than
Well,
he
you
seemed
don't-
to hold it against Ty more
A
than
lot
Sarah.
more. Yeah,
So
for sure.
I don't know what that's about, but he did.
Well,
Maybe because
it's
he
just like
trusted
any-
Ty more.
Exactly. Anything like that. You feel
Yeah.
more betrayed by someone who you think you're closer to.
So day 36, pasta and wine.
Chowing down. Troy then tells us he is solid with Brad and he's in a good place and offers a toast. Here's to Culpepper.
And all three of them decide that it's Aubrey instead of Ty. They were still wanting to vote emotionally. Brad wanted Ty out.
Yep.
But realistically, I think Sarah grounded them back down and said, hey, wait, he's a bigger threat for this. Or Aubrey's a bigger threat. Let's get her first.
Brad brags a little there on a confessional and says he's going to make Ty play an idol, make him burn one. We got a quick cut to sharks in the water.
That started to feel a little bullyish.
Yep.
I'm going to
More
make
coming.
somebody do.
Yep. Brad asks Ty, you want to go to the end? And they agree that Aubrey has to go. So Brad tells him, you play an idol and you give me one to hold on to.
So there's
This is-
no funny business.
He's in full intimidation mode. And that, hey, to Ty's credit, Ty says that raised alarms. Mm-hmm. He felt like he lost control. Brad's being really intense.
Well, isn't that why he turned on him to start with?
Why Ty turned on them?
That he wasn't feeling like he had a voice. He was in the bottom of their alliance with Troy.
They all voted
Brad,
for him. They all
and-
voted for Ty. Remember,
Well-
they forced him to do that?
Yeah, I know.
I think that's when Ty felt most alone.
But even before the actual vote, he was already feeling like he thought he might be in the bottom, and then they proved it. He was.
Ty tells us he's going to have to think this through because it doesn't feel right.
I'm very proud of him for that he didn't just react and he didn't give in to the pressure that Brad was applying to just give it to me. He waited and said, need to think about it.
Culpepper says, I'm going to keep that idol, and then I'm going to vote him out.
Well, guess what? It didn't go down that way.
Ty goes to Aubrey. It's basically his base when he's having emotional issues, even though they turn on each other constantly and all that. He goes to her because there's an emotional connection there, right? There's some safety with Aubrey, and basically lays it out. Brad's bullying me. Aubrey wants to make sure that Ty's being straight with her, though, because she's still... They both have reason not to trust each other, so that kind of an exchange is tough.
Well, I had just a little bit of hope here.
When Sari came in?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, please let me be wrong. Please, 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 please. I'd actually been saying prayers that I would like to be wrong. Can I please be wrong about this? And
Sari comes up to Aubrey and Ty and says, look, they're going to pick us off one by one. Can we put our differences aside? Can we focus on a vote for Troy or Sarah? And Sari is apologizing as best she can there.
such maturity in the game.
Ty's crying with Aubrey, and it looked like Brad came by and saw that.
Saw that, yeah. Or they wanted us to think he saw it.
Troyzan doesn't waste any time sharing the information he's got. He goes to Sarah and tells her that Ty's got 2 idols.
Yeah, and obviously Brad had not because she looked surprised. So he wasn't sharing information with Sarah. So I would think that is
Although, admittedly, Sarah is a good actor, so we can't say that with certainty.
But I think that might be a plus for Troy there, that he was trying to form some of his own connections with people.
And he had had an early connection with Sarah back after he had found that first idol.
Well, I just wonder if things had been differently if he would have, turned on Brad.
Didn't seem like it. Ty tells us Sari and Brad can't be trusted. And no one cares about me, he says. I need to toughen up and focus on what's best for me in his confessional right before they go to tribal council.
That is true, but it is kind of ironic and funny that, Ty is lamenting
That they
he
can't be trusted.
They can't be trusted.
That always comes up. If there's one thing that happens for sure in a game where you can't trust anyone, but you have to trust them, is that you'll be a hypocrite at some point.
That's right.
Feeling that you've been betrayed.
Tribal Council number 1.
Michaela came in smiling there at the tail end of the jury. Aubrey tells us at the last tribal council, yes, there was lots of talking back. After the last tribal council, there was lots of talking back at camp. It was like a therapy session.
Yeah, it felt like,
And she says Ty was the rat.
Yeah, I felt like they were talking directly to the jury at this point. They were informing the jury of the things they wanted them to know.
So her role as Ty's comforter has come to an end at this point. She's not there comforting him. She outs him as the rat, and that obviously sets Ty off.
And what does Ty say?
Yes.
Well, but Sari told me that you were coming after me first.
Yes, there are lies and deceit in this game, and how am I the only bad guy, he asks.
And Brad points out, well, your whole alliance wanted you out yesterday.
When Probst asks him why the heat on Ty, Sarah says he won't take responsibility. And Brad tells Ty, I never lied to you. So he's letting him know where he stands with Brad.
Well, and Sarah points out that the 5 are on the same page.
Yep. And that doesn't include Ty.
But Troy doesn't, he doesn't think they're all on the same page. So he's kind of going, I don't know about that.
Well, he also says when he's asked about Ty's ability to recover, he said that's a 90% no. He's not going to recover. When Probst asks the same question as Sari, she says, look, there's people who've come back from worse in this game. I've seen a whole lot of this game.
And Ty tells him, I've been approached by others.
There's offers of bribes and threats.
Yeah, and that he doesn't know who's voting for who. He just only knows his vote.
Brad tells him, buyer beware with Ty if you're making a deal with him.
Well, and Cerie's not sounding too confident.
Nope. She says she's as confident as the people around her are.
But Aubrey tells us she's going to keep the faith. She's been on the bottom rung a long time. She's going to keep the faith.
You know what I flashed on? I even made a little note of it when she said that. There's that poster, that silly little poster, probably from back in the 70s, where there's the kitten hanging, and it says, hang in there, baby, and the kitten's like holding itself on a clothesline or something like that. Do you know the image that I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's what I flashed on when she said that. It's like, that's Aubrey. She's that little kitten. Hang in there, baby.
So, were you surprised that Ty played the idol for himself finally?
No. I expected that. And I've expected it before and been wrong, but I did expect him to play it. What I was more surprised about was that he played one for Aubrey.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
And neither did the jury. They had a big reaction. They were hooping and hollering.
Why would you do that, Ty? Why don't you save these for both of those? That would have guaranteed you blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I kind of still don't know exactly why he would do that either.
Well, maybe it's kind of like what Brad was trying to twist his arm to do in a way, right? It was to get some protection or to prove his trust, prove his loyalty, and maybe Ty was proving it to Aubrey by saving her. Plus, I think he likes those gestures. He had already done it earlier in the season and saved Sierra, right, to a big result. And I think maybe playing that one for Aubrey, he had similar hopes, perhaps.
Well, and maybe that it would save him in the long run, and that it would end up being a feather in his resume as well.
So, yep. And then Sarah plays her legacy advantage. And then Troyzan, he's had enough. He plays his hidden immunity idol. At which point we got history. Most idols ever played, most safe.
All of those things I had already predicted in my mind. I was like, except for
I don't know if you predicted
Aubrey.
it. We talked about it in the listener feedback show, right?
Well, yeah, that's why I said in my mind when I was going through about what would happen and who would, I thought the vote off would be between. I expected Brad to have the necklace. I expected Troy to play his and Ty to play his and Sarah to play her. So I thought the vote was going to be between Aubrey and Cerie, but because Sarah was mad, she'd want Cerie. This was how it was playing out in my head.
I see. Okay.
So, and it didn't happen like that. I mean, some of it did happen. They did play those things, but probably everybody saw that coming because some of it had to be played or lose it.
The third first that occurred here, as we're making Survivor history in the finale, is we have the first person voted out because there's no other choices for who could go.
Oh, that was sad.
No revote required. Cerie is out.
I mean, even though I'd already processed that she probably wasn't going to make it.
And you had her going out in exactly this position.
And I had her going out in that position.
Yeah.
I was still hoping against hope that something else would happen.
So certainly Cerie has a great story, and she had a rough start this season, but she tells us the overall the experience has changed her, and Probst went out of his way to give her another special moment here. And she said it's certainly bittersweet, but she's happy with everything that's come to her because of her participation from coming off that couch 11 years ago.
I love that the jury stood up and acknowledged her.
Standing, yep.
And Mike, Jeff said that, the Survivor legend goes out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
The last Survivor legend.
Even let Cerie say for herself, the tribe has spoken.
Yeah, all of those.
Out in style, Probst tells us. Good deal. And they cut back to the audience. They bring Cerie out, and Probst tells us that she's full of class, and of course the audience there stands and gives her an ovation too and cheers.
That was awesome.
And Probst describes her as one of a kind.
I really enjoyed that they were
celebrated
cool.
Cerie.
Yeah, for the audience.
That was nice.
To get that, though I know not everybody's a big Cerie fan, but but I am. And I was happy to see it. So it was nice for me. Day 37, Immunity Challenge number 2.
Yep.
They've got paddles to move those balls through the obstacles. That looked difficult.
Yeah, the paddles basically multiple metal rods set up through the obstacle course to move the little ball through, and the paddle part of the end of the rod is a circular piece of metal with a wood inset. So there's a little lip there, that metal ring that you can get the ball to rest on so it doesn't just immediately roll off. But as you can see, as all the castaways start struggling with it, it's not easy to keep it level as you try to move it from one paddle to the next, and with obstacles in between.
Well, the worst part was nobody even came close to Brad.
No, everybody was struggling.
Nobody came close to getting a ball.
Stopped and just watched him win at the end because they were so far away.
Fine.
Yeah, it was huge dominance in that challenge.
And then, he got all emotional at this one.
Mm-hmm.
And cried and couldn't. Jeff finished his sentence for him. Oh, you did this for Monica.
Well, he said that was for Monica.
Well,
and
he was
Probst
trying to
asked
say
him. Probst asked him, "Where's the emotion coming from?" Mm-hmm. And when he didn't get any answer, then he just repeated what Culpepper had said before.
Okay. And Aubrey says, well, it's probably going to be me. She needs to make her pitches to the different people.
Even though she's got no traction with Brad, she's still going to try. Yep.
I admire that. If you're a true player, you try.
Summary of her whole season.
Yep.
No traction, but I'm going to try.
Yep, I may spin my wheels, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Brad tells them when they get back to camp, I got one of those challenges like that at home. I practice all the time. That's why it was so easy for him.
I have trouble believing that, Brad.
Well, he was just kidding with them.
I know, but
he tells us
just sounded, I don't know, weird.
He's got his eyes on the prize. He is focused. Okay. And Brad and Troyzan and Sarah meet and agree Aubrey's going. Ty is easy to beat at Final Tribal Council, Troyzan tells us, so that's why Ty is potentially going to hang around.
Okie dokie. Well, I thought she might have talked Sarah into something. Mm-hmm. When she started talking about, Brad taking Troy, right. And that could hurt Sarah's chance for Final 3.
Right.
It'd be between her and Ty, and you don't know what those guys will do.
Aubrey appeared to have a good point for a discussion there, for sure.
I thought so, too. I thought that was well thought out, well presented, and I actually thought Sarah might go for it.
Yeah,
gave her
she's
a choice.
Playing the girl power angle there, even though Ty's there with him. She's saying, let's not get wiped out by the boys. Sarah tells us once again she finds herself in the middle. Needs to really check in with Ty.
And she tells Ty, I've always had your back, Ty.
And Ty doesn't hesitate to throw Aubrey under the bus. He says, let's get Aubrey out.
Yeah, let's vote for Aubrey. I was like,
I can't beat her.
What?
That was a little bit of a surprise. I didn't see that coming. I thought they were making a play there.
I did too. I was so
Aubrey's
shocked.
Plan. Yeah.
I mean, I had Aubrey next to go. But I was so shocked. I thought after they had bonded and she had, nurtured him and all of that, I thought they're all nice and bonded and he's going to say, let's go for Troy.
Yeah.
And he just said, let's do Aubrey.
Brad had his big pasta meal and the key lime pie. And he goes to Ty at this point and says, I control the Final 4. Assure me that you're going to vote with me. I'll see what you do and then I'll know if you can be trusted or not.
Yeah, and I want you to tell me right now that you're going to vote the way I want you to.
Ty assures him, I will. I believe it, that you control it.
But then he said he has no respect for me.
Right.
And he feels talked down to as a minority. So it feels like it went even deeper.
Well, he doesn't know where
that.
all that is coming from.
Yeah.
All the negative energy he's getting from Culpepper at that point.
Yeah, because he seems to be a little bit more like he has to stay on Ty and be forceful.
He's casting around
somehow.
for what might be the reason behind the rationale for why he would act that way towards Ty. Ty goes to Sarah and says, hey, let's flip and vote for Troyzan. And Sarah tells us, sure enough, here's Ty flipping again at the last minute.
The wind has blown the other direction.
Yeah.
Well, and I thought, that's the reason she's not going to take him up on that. I think it would have been a good play. But how do you trust Ty when one moment he said, "Oh no, let's vote Aubrey." Oh no, and I would be afraid that the next moment somebody would throw my name out and he'd go, "Right,
Yeah, just
let's
depends on
get
if
her."
someone can talk to him or not before you go.
Yep. So I can't blame Sarah for that at all.
Okay, final five tribal council.
Let's do it.
Culpepper's there, and Probst tells us with his fourth individual immunity win. Troy Zan tells us, yeah, he may win all the way to the end. And I used to be that guy. He's a little envious of him.
Well, and Aubrey, making her case again, is pointing out to everyone that if one of those guys get there, they're both going to final two.
Yep.
You're not just making a decision for this vote. Those two are going to take each other to final two, and that one of them will win.
Sarah deftly tells us in dodging Probst's question that everybody's taking it all one day at a time, one tribal council at a time. And Troy Zan tells us that everybody's pitching everybody at this point.
Well, and Brad says, well, it sounds like I have to win to get to the final.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, it would be the logical thing. Though I'm not sure why they didn't try to get Sarah out more. But Brad answered that because he didn't see her as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
So Aubrey's looking at, she said, yes, there's people I can't beat. But Troy, can you believe he said, oh, well, I can win against anyone?
Right. You don't count me out. What if I
like,
win? What are you going to do if
seriously?
I win?
Well, I think that this is jumping ahead slightly, but I think he received the message that was sent when he got there. So, enough said for now. Sarah, I think she thought that they would be the best final three for her.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, she was right. So, she had no need to do something else.
No hidden immunity idols to play here. The votes come down. 4 against Aubrey, 1 for Troy Zan, at which point Troy Zan notes, hey, that's my first vote been cast against me. And Aubrey is out. She gives a quick kiss to Ty, and she tells Probst, well, I got the full experience, and she even reaches for her torch, and she says that, and Probst said, no, you can leave that here.
Yep.
Like she was going to get to take her torch with her, huh?
They
'Cause that was the first time she had been voted out
They should have said to Troy,
in her 2 seasons.
yep, that's the last time you're going to see your name written down.
Yeah, no, you don't.
I know.
You don't
I'm
say
just
stuff
teasing.
like that. You don't want
Of
to
course
tempt
not.
anyone to come
You
after
don't
you.
tempt fate.
Aubrey tells us she went for broke. Now she's going to go watch these psychos battle it out.
Yep. At least she got full experience this time.
So Sarah, Brad, Troy, and Ty are left.
Day 38.
Come on in, guys. Final immunity challenge.
Again,
Water
physical.
slides.
Yep. This very physical challenge.
Yep.
Race through the obstacles, down the water slide.
Climb up the
Collect
big
the
set of
pieces.
steps. Get the keys. Yeah.
That looked
come back down the
pretty
water
tiring.
slide. Those water slides never look like they have enough water on the slide part. They got water down at the bottom for you to splash into. But if you don't hit one of those just right, you could friction burn your way down to the bottom.
Here's the thing I was thinking about. Ty is kind of amazing that he didn't get to eat.
Right?
The others went off and had lovely food, kind of prepared them for the last challenges.
Yep.
Ty got nothing, and he hung in there pretty darn good
Yeah, he did
in the
good.
physical challenge, keeping up with everybody when he had no calories to burn
Yep.
the way they did. So I just wanted to acknowledge him for that.
Yeah, definitely some fine motor skills and getting in there and untying those knots and getting the keys and scooting through the obstacles, different places. And they had that fireman's pole that you had to slide down
Yep.
at the end of the obstacle. And Ty was spinning all around on the water slide. It just twisted him around.
Sarah got to her bag first, right off the get-go there.
Yep.
And,
She was doing really good.
yeah,
First
she even
couple there. Yeah.
extended her lead there for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Until Brad took it over in the third.
Troy Zan was having a lot of trouble with his second bag, Probst tells us.
Yeah, he got stuck on those keys, and that put him way behind, but not really when it came down to it, getting started on everything.
Yep.
You know,
Culpepper
that
and
was pretty-
Sarah got started on their puzzles, and Then Troyzan, he got lucky, just put the exact right key in for his last bag of puzzle pieces.
Well, I guess he had bad luck on the second one. He deserved a break there.
Mm-hmm.
But, and Brad ends up winning again. His 5th immunity challenge win. And
Yeah.
I thought, dang, I was getting nervous. He's building a resume. I
Really
thought,
solid in terms of that. Yep.
I was
Ropes
getting
tells
a
us
little
that's a
bit
small
nervous.
group that have won 5 like that and won their way to the end.
I'm like, stop pointing it out all the time, Jeff.
And your angst was rising at this point through the show.
I know. You started making
'Cause
fun of me.
Culpepper is guaranteed there that he's going to the final tribal council.
Well, you know, he started in with all that, well, it's good to be the king, and I can beat
'em all.
all 3 of them.
Ty's
There's no
going.
problem.
Right.
Brad was already cashed his check, and it just annoyed me.
So what I've observed as we were going through this is you seem
Great, you're going to tell
you-
your theory.
You seem to come back to exactly where you were before the season began in regards to your feelings towards him and his chances in the game.
And how I had said during the game,
You had said he was demonstrating really good gameplay earlier in the season and praised him and said he was doing great.
and then
Well, you were really cheering against him in the finale. I'll just summarize it and leave it like that. There were some things that you were saying.
I believe
I'm not
your
gonna
comment was
share.
like, we cannot say that on
Right.
the podcast.
Yeah, you won't.
And I said, well, of course not. But
Right. But you were
But
getting more and more
I
amped
was
up the closer
getting
he was
a
getting to the
little
win.
fired up.
Now he's in. He's there. So, yeah, you're getting concerned.
I was getting very nervous and antsy because I thought I thought I could handle this if Brad won. I thought I could say it, but now he's doing this, and now I can't handle it.
She was not getting ready to handle that for sure.
No, I was
You know
fighting
who
it.
was ready for it? Troyzan. He comes running up
Yeah.
and jumps into Brad's arms. Did he
And
do the
threw his
leg wrap?
legs What is with Brad and everybody runs up
don't
and
know.
throws their legs around him? That is just weird.
He was just thankful. That was his way of saying,
know,
thank you,
but-
Brad Culpepper. Thank you.
Even at the finale and him picking up Ty, I'm like, put people down. Stop picking people up. Yeah, it was just weird. Okay, but that's my thing, not Brad's problem. That's the Joanne
Brad
thing.
tells us he is wearing that necklace and that makes him Superman.
Okay, well, this is where he really, kind of irked me, and I went
Wait.
all anti-Brad again.
Well, no. This
Well,
was just you
I'm
moving
still
into a
stuck there.
higher gear in your reaction to him.
I thought I had done really well, and then I lost it all.
Troyzan tells Brad, well, we should just tell Ty. That would be the right thing to. That'd be the human thing to do. The good
I thought
thing
that
to
would
do.
be nice. But
Well, you don't ever do
no.
that in Survivor.
I
That's
know.
horrible.
I know. I do know that.
Yeah.
But
Brad said no.
But
We'll let
Brad
him get
wanted
what he
to.
deserves.
He
He
wanted,
wanted
to
to hurt him.
punish him.
You wanted to hurt him.
That was more about punishment than
I want to give him
surprise
hope, and then I want to crush it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I want to break him down and then go for the jugular. I want him to
And
feel
Ty
this.
had hurt himself, I
But
guess, during
don't.
that challenge. I didn't see where that happened, huh? His head was
No,
scraped
but
up
his
and
head
bleeding
was
a little
cut.
bit.
Yeah. We'll have to ask him about that.
What'd you think about Ty's pitch to Sarah? Let's take it to fire. Maybe we can force a tie vote, and then you can beat Troyzan that way.
I loved it. I was ready. Okay. Let's do it. But I thought, why would Sarah do that? If she was convinced Brad was going with her, why would she?
Or she would have to be really confident in her fire-making skills. Mm-hmm. And when
But
you
she
see her
wasn't.
getting tips from Ty on how to actually make the fire, you could tell she wasn't confident. She didn't even know the basics.
Well, I still thought she could do it
Sure,
if she had.
tells us Brad's cocky and thinks he's calling the shots.
Yeah.
and-
Well, I would just foster that. Let him think he's king of the hill. And, I just thought, after he did that, I just couldn't bear the thought that he would beat Sarah.
And Sarah gives a good reason for why you should have some concern for Troyzan. I know the results speak differently, but she tells us here, Troyzan has not made anyone mad. He's
That's
done
true.
really well at that.
Well, and I think people genuinely like him.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to be a nice guy, so he didn't make enemies.
Right.
And,
Okay, Final Four Tribal Council.
Okay.
So when they first cut to Aubrey when she's coming in and she's got her face all done up, I thought, oh, she's looking pretty good there. She got her makeup on. She's looking sharp. Except as they go through and they keep cutting back to her reaction, I kept thinking she looked more and more like every time they cut back to her and she had these, just her face was very expressive. This her reminding me more and more of Bette Midler. And you remember in that movie she was in where they were like the three witch sisters?
Yeah.
She just looked more and more like Bette Midler as a witch to me. Did you see the reaction shots?
No.
No, okay.
Resemblance
I can tell by the extreme reaction in your
Bette's
face
character on that show. No.
to Aubrey's face and her reactions because she was like really
I
drama.
will go back and look.
Yeah,
to
you'll
be
see it when you
fair,
do.
but- Yeah.
You're probably busy taking notes, and you'll go, "Oh, you're right. I do see it. That's funny."
Yeah. Let's not count on that show. Okay, what's next?
Brad's talking about the amazing feeling there.
I'm in charge.
Yep, to Tribal Council, and yeah, he's won his way there.
Do you think it made Brad at all nervous, or Troy, that should have made Troy a little nervous, that Ty and Sarah might bring up a fire challenge? And
Sure, Troyzan says, "Hey, that's the first news of a tie vote to me," and of course, the wow response has become normal this season. So,
yeah.
yep, I think they caught him off guard a little bit like that.
Well, I was just impressed. I thought Ty was really thinking things through. That was really good strategy on his
It
part
was, yeah.
to come up with. So
Ty
I
certainly
really like
has
that.
his moments. It's just that he can't handle the tougher interpersonal things that come up, and he doesn't present a good united front for himself.
I liked how he was trying to convince us at the finale that he can manipulate in his real life.
Mm-hmm.
He just had to have a lot of time and do it slowly.
Right.
I thought, oh, Ty, you're so cute. But
He used that time to talk to the jury, too, right? Ty was telling him, Brad's treating me like a child, like a simpleton.
oh yeah, he was making his case.
And Aubrey's already been there
Yep.
telling him how
Yep.
Brad was treating Ty and how she had to hold Ty while he cried because he felt like he was being bullied. So it was good on Ty to get his punches in there while he could.
Well, and I loved it that he made the point to Brad, I determine what happens with me.
Mm-hmm.
I determine, not you.
Right.
You think you are, and yes, I'm still out, but I'll go out my way. I'm still going to go out fighting, and I was glad he didn't give him the idol.
Yep. Troyzan summed it up nicely. Never a simple vote.
Yep, that would be too boring in
Although the
Survivor
results look
Game
otherwise,
Changers.
definitely there's a lot that goes into getting to that point.
Okay, at this point, you and I both are going, okay, what is up with the no idol at Tribal Council
Yes.
that we were promised at the beginning of the
We
season?
felt like we were going to get to see someone discover an idol at
I
Tribal
want an
Council.
answer for that, Jeff.
Well, I think the answer is there in that article where he talked about it, in the sense that he said if enough of them get played, you'll see all these other scenarios.
Oh, is that what he said?
Yeah, he wasn't
Okay.
guaranteeing that you'd have to
Okay.
get there for that to be the case.
Well, I
and
guess that's all I remembered.
we didn't get there, but I had the same reaction as you. I feel cheated to have that mentioned, and he knew at that point when he gave that interview that it hadn't happened. So he was basically teasing us for something that we
Well,
were never going to get.
I appreciate you explaining it to me, Jeff. He spoke
Okay.
through you.
Yeah.
Thank you, darling.
All right. Yeah.
Well, I guess that would make that makes more sense. But we had thought about it, right? They were like, wait.
Yeah. We felt cheated for sure because we heard of the potential but never saw it come to
Right.
fruition.
Okay.
All right, Ty gets 3 votes and he is out of there.
He's out. Bye-bye.
Troyzan
Ty.
said that was the hardest one that he had to write down when he wrote Ty's name down. And he told him when Ty was headed out there that friends for life, buddy.
Well, how can you not like Ty?
Ty thanks
That would be
Probst
tough.
as he was getting his torch snuff. Thank you. for this for the great season, and Probst reciprocated.
Sarah tells us she's very proud of how she played this season and that she's just going to tell him the truth, which I think is her best bet. And then she asked Brad, "Are you nervous, Brad?" No, he wasn't nervous.
Well, actually, you're on day 39 there in the morning, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so
Where
he's
did you
carving.
go?
Well, I was trying to figure out where you went to exactly. So he carved the 39 in the tree and talked about how that was his dream from the beginning to get there. Mm-hmm. And Sarah asked him this, because I felt like you skipped over this. Sarah asked him if he was crying, and he said yes.
Oh, you're talking about Troy? No, that was smoke.
Well, he said no, it was smoke. Yeah, but I think he was laughing a little bit when he said that. And he tells us, no one's voted for him, so maybe he's got a chance.
Well, and he thought he'd be rewarded for a good game.
Just voted for him. Yeah.
If you want him.
Yep.
I just skipped, I guess, over that because it didn't seem too significant. But
looked like they had a great breakfast. A lot of good fixings there. And Sarah tells us in her summary, because they go through each of the three at this point. They have the confessional points, and she said she made scary moves. They were scary to me and scary to others. And she played the game like a criminal, like she told us she would from the beginning, and she's looking to get rewarded for that. Yeah, and as you noted, Brad said he's not worried at all. He's an attorney, although he's never been to a trial for $1 million. This was going to be his first one making a pitch there.
And he says, "I did it on my own."
Mm-hmm. And I brought these folks here.
Yep.
So he seems to think he has it in the bag for sure.
But what does he have to say? "I don't need the money."
Right. I just want the win.
Please say that
to
in
the
the
jury.
final tribal. Please, just say that once. Because I certainly wouldn't give you money even if I thought you deserved it. If you said, "I don't need it."
I'm pretty sure the discussion has come up before day 39 about where he sits with regards to the need for money.
Well, I think Monica said the same thing, didn't she? "Well, I don't need money," but I thought, why would you even say that? It's not about the money.
Sherry
I just want
said
the title.
Yeah, Sherry said that in final three. I don't remember if Monica did or not.
Okay. Well, anyway, Brad did.
Final tribal council. Aubrey's giving a little bit of that stink eye on the way in, I thought.
I liked that they acknowledged Ozzy with 128 days and Sari with 121. I was surprised that they didn't point out Andrea at 103.
I like that he noted that this was the first time the steal a vote had been played effectively, too, when he was noting the season first there. And he tells us in another first, there's going to be a change to the format here, which we were confused about.
Yeah, we were like,
He
what?
laid it out and said we're going to have 3 sections: outwit, which is all about the social aspects; outplay, which is with regard to game conditions and contributing at camp and in challenges; and then outlast. Did you put the right people on the jury, someone who will respect your game? And we weren't clear at all until we came back, and then he walked them through the format and was coaching the jury members what to focus on in terms of their questions. Even they were a little slow to start, but Zeke jumped in and he basically made his big case for Sarah, which was awesome. On day 3, I gave you that jacket, and you've been wearing it to tribal council, and that's a testament to how intense you are in the game. And Sierra gave you the legacy advantage, and he says he's her champion.
Just voted her out. She gave it to you. And Sierra, I'm sure, was sitting there thinking, well, but I wouldn't have if I'd known she'd voted me out.
Well, Aubrey certainly jumped on that too.
But she didn't know that was the point.
You made it personal, and that was everyone's really ready to jump on except Zeke at that point because.
Did you say Aubrey or Andrea?
Aubrey.
Oh, okay.
At that point, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, Andrea was hurt too.
Yep.
So, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah, I guess maybe that was Andrea. Maybe I wrote that down wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, Andrea was hurt.
Yeah. Well, she cried.
Yep. And then Sarah talked about all of her personal relationships being real.
She cracked
and,
the jury up. They just laughed at her, laughed
Oh,
in her
I thought it
face
was
at that
mostly
point, right?
Ozzy and Debbie at that point.
No, a lot of people
The
laughed.
others
Haley
laughed
and-
later,
Yeah.
but they really guffawed.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Ozzy surprised me. I didn't see him championing Brad to that degree, though I should have, since Ozzy knew what it was like. That's what he could relate to, is the physical challenges
Right.
and, how difficult that was.
Mm-hmm.
And
Kind of made it about himself a little bit, but that happens in jury
sure.
questions and statements and speeches. Sometimes people choose to make it more about them than about a question for.
Well, like I said, it's something he could relate to.
Yeah.
And
Sarah tries to admit, that she lied, but Ozzy's quick to tell us that he's going to be Brad's champion, picking up on how Zeke positioned himself.
well, and Brad is quick on the uptake and tells us how,
When Sheree asked him, tell us how Sierra didn't run your game, because it looked like you were just following her.
Oh, no, I meant Brad was talking about how he just kind of continuing to feed Ozzy's response about, how he appreciated them and that kind of thing.
Right.
It's okay. I'm just kind of down on Brad, so I'm trying not to say too much. I don't want to sound bitter since he didn't win.
So Brad said that in response to Ceree's question about how you weren't just Sierra's deputy in this whole thing, that JT had come to him and that he saved Sierra and got rid of Malcolm, and that's why you should see him as have been in control there.
Why didn't Ty step up at this point and go, excuse me, that was my idol?
Right. But Brad would have just said,
So you don't get full credit.
and you
for
asked
that.
me who you should play it for. And I told you not me, play it for her. Yeah, that would have backfired if Ty had done that.
Well, maybe, but still. Well, I at least like that Michaela asked him, what do you know about me?
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't
And
know very
he
much.
stumbled over that, and she said, no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, I like seeing that side of Michaela come
Yeah.
out. Oh, that was good, Michaela. I enjoyed that.
Ty is shocked that Sarah was deceiving him. And she explains the feedback she got her first season and how they wanted her to play harder and play dirtier.
Yeah.
And they
You
were
would-
disappointed that she hadn't.
Well, that's when she got the full jury laugh when
Mm-hmm.
she told Ty that I thought what I had with you was real. And they all laughed. So I was
Again,
thinking at
yeah.
that point, Sarah, I don't think I would say that again.
Right.
I don't think that's helping the cause.
I think
But-
she nailed it when Aubrey asked her about how she was able to switch, or Andrea, whoever it was, asked her about how she was able to switch roles like that and flip it
Perfect.
on and off. And she said, well,
Perfect.
that's from my experience working undercover. I have to become these people. My life depends on it. I have to assume these different roles, and it has to be real.
Well, and
Debbie
I think she's
chimes
pretty
in.
good at it.
Yes, she's excellent at it. Debbie chimes in that she is for Brad.
Yep. Well, at least Michaela asked Troy a question. That was nice. He didn't get completely shut out.
Yeah.
Though you could tell he knew that, yeah, I'm not in the running.
He eventually did get the message, yes.
Yes.
Because this doesn't go well for him, and he's thought all along, if I can just get there, I'll be able to make my case. And he tells him he made moves, and we had the 6 at the merge, and when they would come to me and we would decide on the vote, and then Cherie says they, that means you were the passenger, you were just along for the ride.
Yeah, they kind of nailed him on that. And
He tries to save it, saying that he wasn't being direct about it and saying who should go. He was more sneaky. But, yeah, they weren't biting.
I liked Aubrey's little,
Yeah. So you're Sandra without the sass?
Sandra without the sass.
Yeah.
But Sierra defends him that Troy made his decisions more subtly, is what you're trying to say, Troy. And he's like, yeah, okay, I'll shut up now. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to win with these people. They've decided that it's not Troy. They may not know if they're voting Brad or Sarah yet, but it's not Troy.
Culpepper's trying to speak up for himself, because he gets asked about never reaching out to the folks on the bottom. And
That was by Andrea again.
yep, I was writing Aubrey the whole time.
Yeah, well,
Michaela, he says that he and Michaela were like oil and water, never got any traction. And it's at this point that Ty asks him, do you realize how you talk to people, how you talk to me? And he tries to defend himself. Well, you chose the girls and not me, and I tried to manipulate you. And Haley asks him, are you aware of the condescension in your voice and how you're doing that?
and how you use it as a way to control.
Yeah.
He kind of, I
Debbie
think
tries
he
to
backed off after that, man.
Yeah. Debbie tries to cover for him a little bit, saying she had 3 brothers and she understands the
Military brothers.
intensity and worked with people in the military. Yeah. And
Yeah.
she says she loves him anyway, even if he does have a high testosterone level and is super aggressive.
And that he's not warm.
Yeah.
But I thought, okay.
Zeke tries to bring it back to Sarah, says she always voted the right way. And Haley at this point says, yeah, it's less clear now. I'm less clear than when I came in angry.
Well, and then Ozzy goes after his point of view, that how much he's totally thinks Brad won the entire outplay of the game, and that he earned his respect and that he deserves to win.
Yep.
And
He's
so
the author of his own destiny.
he relied on himself.
Yes.
So, okay, I don't deny that. So, and of course, we certainly know who Debbie's for
Debbie
as
jumps
well.
on again. Yep. She likes making that Lord of Flies reference. She's mentioned it multiple times in interviews.
Yeah, but I didn't like her statement that Sarah and Troy would have never even been there without you.
Yeah, that's
I thought,
garbage. Yeah.
you can't even back that up.
Maybe Troy, but not Sarah for sure.
Yeah. And Brad thanks Ozzy and Debbie for their support, and Zeke reaffirms his support for Sarah. And okay, here's where I think Sarah really stepped up.
Made some points.
Made some good points about herself and explains how her attention to details is what got her to Final 3, not Brad Culpepper.
And moving to strike.
And
Yeah.
how the whole thing happened with the secret advantage, and it was right there for any of you to see.
Mm-hmm.
But I observed it, and I went over and got it, literally right out from under Michaela.
Michaela, to her credit, she backed her up on that.
Yep, totally.
Makes her she's so bold that she was able to do that and then use it against me.
That's right. That just makes Sarah a badass.
I like that. I like that Michaela did that for her. All right, on to Outlast, the last section. Making sure you put the right people on the jury.
Mm-hmm. Suri wants to make sure they're getting all the right information so that they can give the money to the right person.
Brad said that he didn't deceive or lie, and he did well. Things got flipped on him at one point, and he wants them to know that he did camp life. He helped so much around camp because that's who he was.
That's
Not that
just
he was
who I am.
doing it for any return. Yeah, and Sarah reaffirms that the reason they're there is because she was concerned about their ability to beat her, and that's why she looked for opportunities to strike first. It was a high caliber of people, and she had to stay one step ahead of them.
I like that a lot, too.
Mm-hmm.
And
her work training is what saved her, she said. So she brought it back to that. And Troyzan was resigned.
I
Yeah.
appreciate being
Right.
here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I see. He tells him,
And
"I see where
I'm
you
out
are."
now.
Yeah, and he was tearing up. You could tell
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it had to be a crushing feeling for him because it was really clear at that point that he may have got there, but and Spencer would tell him 0 chance of winning, where he would actually be correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I do think he loves
hurt
the
him.
game, and I do think it hurt him.
Yeah,
But
think it did.
I don't think he deserved from what we were shown.
Well, there was.
We were shown.
I don't think his edit was deceiving to us at all. He got I guess in the end he got the edit that was reflective of his contribution to the season, relatively speaking. So yeah. When Michaela goes to vote, she says, "Flawless game, girl," as she writes down Sarah's name. Ozzy wrote down Culpepper's number. I guess I'm assuming that's his number with I wonder if he kept the same number on all the teams he played on. Anyway, number 77, Culpepper. And Ozzy's voting for Brad. Zeke tells us that he is honored to vote for Sarah. And Debbie says, well, I guess the good guys finished first as she casts her vote for Brad.
I still want to know who that third vote for Brad was.
Yeah?
I don't know who did that. You think it was... Oh, I bet it was Sierra. Duh.
Yeah, I guess that's the most likely answer,
Oh,
huh?
yeah. I don't
Because
know
she
why I
was
didn't
still
think of
hurt.
that.
You know, she was still hurting about losing that legacy advantage when we interviewed her almost a year later. So you can imagine that hurt was pretty intense.
Well, and even though she had given Sarah that advantage, she wasn't getting her vote.
Yeah.
I bet you that's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes sense. I don't know why. Sierra was so quiet. I don't feel like we heard a lot from her. Did you
in
feel
terms
that
of
way?
the jury? Yeah.
Yeah, and the questions and the...
I think it was because she was angry. She seemed like she was pretty intensely angry. She had come in a little fired up, and then so maybe she... Of course, we only see
not to be bitter.
a small part of it. Yeah, or they didn't show that portion.
Yeah, I'm sure there was probably another hour and a half of
Could have been.
tribal,
Yeah.
but that was different, and it seemed to filter over into the reunion show somewhat too, right?
Well, she acknowledged that, yeah, she was still hanging on to that goof that she made, the biggest goof in her Survivor career. I've expected Sarah to be sitting in the middle. You don't know what I'm talking about?
I talked about the tribal council and the voting and all going over into the reunion, but I don't know where you went with that.
Oh, and like when Probst was talking to her in the reunion. I thought that's what you were referring to.
No,
Sorry.
Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, where did you go?
Just as a small thing, with the way they were sitting when they came in, back here in the live portion of the reunion, that Sarah was on the end. I expected her to be in the middle, but they had Brad and Troy was in the middle.
Well, probably,
thing.
I thought because either Brad, my thought was, well, they know Troy doesn't have to get up and do anything, but either Sarah or
He'd be on the
Brad
ends. Yeah.
have to be on the ends because
Maybe.
one of them's getting up
Yeah.
to go hug their family or, hug Jeff or whatever. One of them's getting up. It's not Troy, so that's why they put him in the middle. Because they corrected that once it was the votes were read, then Troy sat in the third place spot. So,
Probst tells us that at the beginning of the season that the production just with the Game Changers title and all that, they were so focused and wanted there to be big moves, and this cast really delivered for them. They're happy. What'd you think of Culpepper's porn stash there? He had the cop mustache look, the porn stash look.
I never liked the
Yeah.
I don't know. It just looked
He looked goofy there.
different.
I didn't expect that from him. I don't know if he normally
If he likes
does that.
it, I'm good with it.
Sure.
I don't need to comment on his
Probst.
appearance.
Yeah. Probst tells us that it was an epic win for Sarah, and he thanks the cast.
At
Thanks to
this
everybody.
point, Joanne was relaxed a little more.
Uh-huh. You were coming down.
My intensity was diminishing.
Right. All right. So Sarah wins. Congrats for Sarah, and we actually got the boot out order right. So good job, baby.
Have I ever gotten it right before?
I don't know.
I can't even remember.
Yes, you always like to ask these questions.
That
when
I
you
have
do
no
get
answers
points.
to. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
me.
Yep.
Mhm. But that was, I didn't even get excited about that though,
No?
because
You were just relieved that Culpepper didn't win.
Culpepper didn't win. I thought, no, I don't care
It all
about the
boiled
points.
down to that, just like
I
how
don't
you
care about
started the
anything.
season.
I'm willing to.
As long as he doesn't win.
I'm happy if Sabree wins and I get 0 points. I'm going to be happy.
Uh-huh.
With that. And I really thought I was okay with if any of them had won.
But
They
you
would-
weren't.
But I wasn't. I lied.
Yeah.
I lied to me.
Yes.
So that became apparent. So, okay. I liked that Sarah pointed out that, she had all the support from her family and that they encouraged her to play. However, it's a game. You're playing a game. This isn't your real life. We know who you are. You have nothing to prove to us.
So Tony was calling her before the season started? Is that what that was?
I don't know.
It said Tony was calling her at 5:30 in the morning saying, "Get up, you bum. We got to strategize."
So they had a pregame alliance. Is that what that she was telling us?
Well, they were working on their pregame, I guess. I don't know that it was an alliance.
What did you think of her saying she wasn't proud of how she treated people out there? She was proud of her game,
Yeah.
but she wasn't proud of how she treated people.
I thought that was awesome that she owned that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the right thing to do. It's like, yeah, you had to do this, and we had already seen her talk about how she had remodeled her game and how much she had worked to be able to learn from what Tony had taught her from getting to watch
all
him
Tony's fault.
in that extra video where she talked about this at a little more length.
He showed me how to win.
Yep.
Oh, I loved Jeff going through and doing that whole thing and telling us, not so much that he did the whole thing, but that I don't know why he chose to go through all that to get the point across to Brad that you made a wrong decision. Because it felt like he had something personal to prove to Brad,
You're
and
right.
that he wanted him to see if you'd taken Ty. Because Brad must have said, "Oh no, he made all the right choices," or something that got to Probst because he was determined to get that out there, and you could tell Brad didn't want him to.
Oh, he fought him on it. He told
Yeah.
him, verbally said, "Hey, I don't like this." And Probst said, "Yeah, it's fine. I like it. So we're going to do it."
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm the host, so you go
Yeah.
where I go. And I loved it that they finally explained to us what would happen if there was a tie at
Yeah.
the final tribal council.
Yep.
Because that would have been just, oh my goodness.
To have Troyzan decide between Ty and Brad.
That would have been horrible.
Brad would have won. Yeah.
That would have been like, oh
Yeah,
no.
and we skipped over that part where he apologized to Ty and said he needed his Snickers and he's not a bully. But, hey, I'm sorry, Culpepper. I don't believe you.
The fact that you're picking him up,
Well, that's
that annoyed
no,
me. But
yeah, I know that annoyed you, but that's not what I'm talking about.
I know.
It's not the same thing.
Okay.
He's a big guy. He's a big, strong guy. He's been doing that all his life. So you could see how other people naturally reacted to his ability to do that. Every time they won, Sierra would run over and jump
And
up.
wrap her legs around him.
Yeah,
So.
so that's, I'm not putting that
And
on
then
him.
Troy did too. So it
Yeah.
was just like everybody runs over to Brad and jumps up and wraps their
But
legs.
good
around
on him for owning it, but you got some bully tendencies there, and that's why people have had a strong reaction against you.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what I 100% believe.
I think that
That's what made it easy not to like him his first season for sure.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I really thought that he had shown a very different side of him. I'm choking on it. He showed a very different side of himself, and I think he undid a lot of that during the season. But I don't think he helped himself or people's impression of him at all toward the end.
Right.
So, is it what he said and he never played any differently? It's just how they chose to edit or not? Because that's what he had said in one of his recent out of the show interviews is that, oh, well, I played the same game both times. It's just how they chose to edit me.
I don't know that he was doing that. I think he was actively, well, let me frame it a different way. I don't think he felt pushed into that point to where he had to be aggressive, right? He was controlling a lot of things when he was in that big alliance and when he was getting to run things with Sierra. And I think Sierra was helping him a lot. I think she was buffering him quite a bit so that, she didn't let those kind of things get too far. And we saw him able to handle the Debbie stuff when it seemed like Debbie was completely irrational and out of sorts there, but he seemed to handle it really well.
Yeah.
But when push came to shove and things got tough and tight, he got back to that. When he wasn't winning, when he wasn't in control, he resorted back to that other side of himself that we had seen before.
Well, I think he was worse
So-
when he was in control or felt in control. He got even more intense.
You're saying at the end. I'm
Yeah.
saying earlier in the game when he was in
Oh,
control.
yeah,
he
earlier in
didn't-
the game, yeah.
it didn't get him to the
Totally.
point where he felt like he was holding. So I think he was holding some of that back. So, in answer to your bigger question, I think we did get to see, just like we did the first time, we saw different sides of him.
Right.
And how he ends up reacting.
We just didn't get to see very much of him the first time because he didn't last as long.
But we saw this version of him.
Both. Okay, Ty is already hitting Jeff up to play again. That's what I got from. I'm growing. I'm going to grow from this experience. In case you want me to play again,
Yeah.
Jeff.
So here's my vote that we don't see you again anytime soon, Ty.
Yeah.
I've seen enough for now. And I feel that way about everyone in here. The entire cast. I'm not singling Ty out. I don't want to see any of these folks again anytime soon.
Oh, but honey, I'm permanent right here next to you on the sofa.
The cast. You're not the cast.
Peeking at you. Okay, I really liked that, Sari got another moment. And I do think Jeff probably is curious about why she's been so popular. And I think she hit the nail on the head that she's not threatening and that people relate to her. She's a good people person. And because she is such a good people person and is interested in people, they feel like they know her and they can relate to her.
That there's a connection.
She's one of us, in other words. She's just
You could
regular,
see all that when
everyday
she was
person.
schooling Michaela earlier.
And I thought that was good advice when you go on Survivor. You've got to be able to connect with people and listen and learn about them and their relationships and how you think they'll react to things. You are helping your game when you're doing that.
Yep. Survivor can teach you things about life that are beneficial to you. It is the human condition in a pressure cooker, and if you pay attention, like we do here, we're students of the game, super fans of the game here on the Survivor Fans podcast. You'll learn things, and you can learn about how to be a better player from our discussions here and these observations. I know it's changed my perspective and outlook on things. I came at it initially very simplistically, being more interested just in the survival skills initially, and then came to realize the significance after watching Samoa. I think Samoa was a great life lesson where if you don't have a social component to your game, you're going to get ripped to shreds.
Well, I think Sari can be a great player, and yet she's never won. She can't seem to, bring home the jack.
She started off this season horribly from everything we were shown.
Yeah.
And she stumbled and she caught a huge lucky break. The luck was a main reason that she was still here. She got a pass into the second half of the game, and most people don't ever get that.
Yeah. Well, I always believe that Survivor has a certain degree of luck.
Not a certain degree, a major degree. The majority of your progress is luck, and then the other part, skill and results, what you can deliver.
Well, I was pleased that they gave Zeke and Varner both some time to deal with their issues, but that they didn't spend the whole time doing that.
Right.
So I thought that they
Seemed like it was the right
went
amount
through
of
it-
time.
Yeah, they went through it quickly.
Hit the right points.
Hit the highlights and moved on, and I appreciated that.
Yeah.
And there were no texts read and no tweets or
Right.
no, strange children in the audience that they wanted to talk to. And even I loved seeing Cochran in the audience, but I also liked that Jeff didn't take up the time away from the other people to
I'm going to give some of that credit to Aubrey in that she answered his
Okay.
question superbly in saying, well, we all have a crush on Cochran. She just answered it and brushed it off. Boom, we're going.
Yeah, let's move on,
After
Jeff.
he tried some awkward tease about them being a new Survivor couple and whatever.
Yeah.
And Michaela got a little bit of a moment to own her blinded by rage goof there when she missed the secret advantage. And I liked how he framed it. What advice would you give Michaela? What advice would you give to Michaela? And so you could tell she's learned some things about herself. So
Well, and that her sense of humor comes through as well.
And Sierra's answer about why she told Sarah that and trusted her with that information was basically what we had heard in the interview. So it wasn't anything new for us, but she owned it and said that she was in a vulnerable place.
You know what that said to me?
What's that?
Good gameplay by Sarah.
Yeah.
So, and even got to hear from Malcolm a little bit.
Malcolm is savvy. I like how he acknowledged it. Yeah, I had to cry, had to
Cry
recover.
for a few days.
But that's all the reason. That's why
Part
this
of the
game's
game.
still here 17 years later. It's an
Yep.
incredible game. Best on TV, he said. It was an excellent summary. And Ozzy was just pumped up to talk about what a beautiful microcosm this was. And how you can see this was an example of how to make the best possible decision and how the whole country needed more of that.
I was like, my goodness, our Ozzy has grown up.
There's a different level of answer than we had gotten. We've
Yep.
seen him progress over the years,
A
right?
lot, yes. Yes, we have.
Yeah. Good for you, Ozzy. You see, Probst was really pleased with him as they cut to commercial. He went over and told the cast, he said, you guys are doing great with these answers and how they were moving through that segment.
Well, I didn't pick it up, but you did. You when he finished letting Varner talk, and you caught something when they went to commercial. You said, "Oh, Varner just told him something. They missed something."
Oh,
And
Probst went
Jeff
over
said,
to
"We'll
Varner.
go back around
yeah,
to
we'll
it."
we'll circle back to it.
I didn't hear any of that, so good job picking that up.
Okay, thank
but
you.
he did go back around to
Yep.
it, and
So Varner's
know,
working on a book called Surviving Shame.
yeah. Okay, season 35.
Heroes versus healers versus hustlers.
I think Jeff really likes Fiji.
Oh, yeah. What's not to like about Fiji,
Exactly.
right? Yeah, so I'm glad they're going back because that means we should get some more awesome water challenges and
Yay.
hopefully they'll up it even more, building on top of what we got to see this season.
Well, I'm fine with them going back, but give the people some food. Give them some rice or something.
Yeah.
Everything's been depleted from the,
Because the island got wiped out.
yeah, no coconuts, there's nothing to forage
I'm pretty sure they were still coming up with coconuts, even though they told us there weren't coconuts.
from the ground. They said the trees
Kinda
were gone.
think production was
Dropping
maybe,
those
might have
coconuts
been,
around.
yeah, because
I thought
there's
so,
been
too.
a history of that in the past.
Well,
that
we
they've-
seriously don't want people to starve to death.
no, there's no fun in that.
And they should be able to forage something
Yeah.
if it weren't for, circumstances. So,
Yep.
heroes versus healers versus hustlers. That may be the last time I say that.
That is such a mouthful.
Yeah, not saying that every
and brains versus beauty versus brawn. That it's like at the same level, but this seems like it's more somehow. Okay, so the heroes are supposed to be people who have demonstrated courage and have these achievements in life, and we get to see Ben, who is a Marine, and Ashley, who's a lifeguard. And for the healers, they're all about acts of service to others. So we see Mike, who's a surgeon, and Desi, who's a physical therapist.
Physical therapist.
Yeah. And for the hustlers, which it wasn't exactly clear to me what they were going for with this, because, hustling could mean hustling someone in a negative sense, but they meant hustling with their work, I
Like
guess.
they really have to get in there and
yeah,
hustle.
right, exactly.
For the personal assistant and the
I'm
bellhop.
not sure.
and- I was like, oh.
I think Marines do a fair share of hustling, so that's
Yeah.
what's wrong with these titles always.
Yeah, I didn't.
Hopefully, we won't spend a whole lot of time on it.
Yeah, I'm good
So
with
you get-
forgetting it. Season 35.
Yeah,
Survivor
Triple H.
35.
We can name it after the
Triple
WWE
H.
wrestler. Yeah, something like that. Allie's the personal assistant. Yeah, that's still too many. You're still.
Yeah, that's just too much. I'm
Yeah.
afraid it's going to be season 35 of Fiji
Okay.
or Survivor 35.
Right. And then you got a bellhop. Who was that? Oh, it was Ryan. It was like another Skinny Ryan. That was my first thought. Hey, there's like Skinny Ryan V2. Hopefully he won't get harassed like the initial Skinny Ryan did. How about a JSFL update?
Well, congratulations to Noon for winning JSFL this season with 142 points. I just wanted to say we ended this season with 339 players.
Outstanding.
And, sometimes people, when their scores aren't as good or they get behind or they drop out, congratulations. I appreciate everyone that hung in there regardless of score, because you really don't know to the very end.
Yeah.
And it's just fun anyway, trying to guess and
We
do
say it all the
that.
time. Other people confirm it too. It makes a difference to your enjoyment of the show to have something at stake there.
So congratulations to everyone.
Yeah, good job. Way to go.
We had 32 people who got the final 6 order correct. There were 184 people who chose Sarah for the win.
Yeah. Not surprising there.
Yeah, 153 people correctly chose Sari to get voted out in 6th.
All right.
So
I'm going to credit listener feedback show for that.
there you go. Also, just wanted to say there were 30 people who voted for Brad to win, and 56 chose Sari.
Well, we know where that's coming from. Yeah.
And 23 chose Aubrey, 16 for Ty, and 4 for Troy. So that's how the votes were divvied up.
All right.
Okay, for the side challenge, congratulations to Nina for winning the side
Nina
challenge.
won. Good job, Nina.
132 points.
I thought I had it in the bag.
Yeah, you always do. Second place is Iron Dave with 122.
Good job, Iron Dave.
Stacy, congratulations, is in third.
Third. All right.
111.
Yeah. Strong
Seth,
finish.
Shut up. Seth with 105.
Way
Jeremiah
to go,
with
Seth.
the
What a
100.
recovery.
Would you let me get it
I'm
out?
trying to. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Just trying to celebrate.
Okay. Jeremiah had 104 points.
No surprise.
I'm just going to wait for you to do your thing. 93 points for Hubbaloo, 90 for Jonathan, 87 for James and Shannon, 78 for Brandon, 72 for Cold Mike, 67 for Drew, and woohoo, double treats for us. With 49 points, we have Jody and Parker.
Whoa, 2 in the basement.
So
I think that's a first, huh?
That's
but
right.
we get that means we're gonna get serenaded twice.
That's right. You each get to do your own.
Yeah, good deal.
And Nina, please send us an email with your song choice and what parody you want.
Yeah. So that's what we're looking forward to. Is Nina will pick a song, and then Parker and Jody and Huxley, we're told,
yes,
will put together a parody song based on that choice that Nina provides. And it will be infused with elements of this season. That's what we're looking for in the parody. So take that song and make it reflect season 34.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
And we would have you do that by the Jabbick show for next season.
Yep.
So you have some time to work on it.
Yep, that'll be
Perfect it,
should be
do
around
whatever you need
mid-September.
I mean, I guess if you could get it in by Saturday, you could do it then.
Oh yeah. If you go
done,
early,
if you can do that, but
yeah.
we won't.
Then it won't be hanging over your head all summer.
There you go.
That's some incentive.
There you go.
Or not. It works out both ways. Mm-hmm. We always
Either way,
enjoy
it's your choice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what are your overall thoughts for the season? I don't do rankings, but...
Well, we certainly were enjoying it episode to episode. I can't deny that I didn't, that it didn't deliver like that, because it did. I think probably with a little time, I'm going to look back on this one, and I'm not going to rank it quite as high. Because, I said this from the beginning. You got a top tier and you got a bottom tier. There wasn't a clear middle. And even though we got excitement and there were some good episodes and all that, I have an impression, a feeling that it is really uneven. And I'm not sure if it's because we didn't get more from the big players like you were kind of hoping for, but you're also
expecting certain things.
Yeah, you're also kind of worried that they were going to get taken out, and you would be left with the folks that everyone was wondering, why were they game changers? They didn't seem to be able to change any, that kind of thing.
Well, they showed us.
So it's like week to week, I know I was enjoying it. You and I are talking about it, and we're having a good time, and we're excited, and we're blindsided. I think that I think the editing may have been a little off for this season.
Well, I will say that it certainly kept me on my toes. And until the finale, I didn't think anything was predictable. I kind of thought the
We didn't
finale
think it was
order
predictable.
was
Well,
a little more predictable.
some of that's self-fulfilling, though, in the sense that you make a guess, and then when
That's
your
true.
guess turns out right, you think, oh, that was predictable.
Oh, that was predictable. Because I got it right.
Yeah.
And I haven't gotten anything
I don't
right
know
all
that
season, but
that's not-
maybe once.
That's not really
Yeah.
fair necessarily.
Well, and I think right after it,
There was great discussion in last week's listener feedback show, and everyone's wondering, are we going to see all these idols and the advantage come together? And you could have this moment, and the more we thought about it, the more we thought, yeah, I think the conditions are right for that to happen, where all these things get played, and then someone goes out by default. Well, who's it going to be? And so there's not.
yep.
So if that happens, then what's going to happen next? And so it wasn't.
And as a fan, I was excited to see it happen. As a fan of Cerie, not as much. And yet, I thought, well, how appropriate that she got to have some new Survivor historical thing to go out on, and she wasn't actually voted out.
I had
But
Sarah
still.
in my final four from the On the Grill show. I didn't have her winning, but I did have her in final four because I thought, it's just something I've been looking at. Who's one of these players that aren't a top tier player that could come out of this and do really
Yeah.
well? And then at the merge, when I had to pick, I just really thought that given how she's playing, if she can maybe somehow, some way, she could find her way there. I was never super confident that she was going to be able to do it, but you can see that she was playing a great game. And when you come in right on the votes like that so many times, and you're making these plays, and you're able to flip between alliances and still in the end get enough votes to win. She took huge risks, and she ended up being rewarded for it. I think some of that probably was some backlash against Culpepper. When Aubrey came in to Ponderosa, and told them about how she had been comforting Ty because he was so upset, and then they got to hear from Ty, and then Ty got there, and I bet that soured some folks on Culpepper a little bit.
Well, I don't know why I got so anxious, because I had thought Brad would get maybe 2 or 3 votes, and that Sarah would get the rest. But when it was,
Well, you see
when
him
they were
win
doing the questions,
and win.
I know I was
Those
thinking,
immunity
that made me
challenges.
so much more nervous.
Yeah.
And just listening to Abby and
Ozzy.
Ozzy and Debbie,
Uh-huh.
I thought, oh, I didn't know where anybody was going to go other than Zeke, for sure,
Well,
and Ozzy and Debbie, and it made me so nervous. And yet, in the end, she got about
6.
what I thought she
Yeah.
was. But I don't know. That just seemed, I don't know. I was just
So
really
you liked that
strange.
part?
I guess I like that part, but because they convinced me that it
So it
really
wasn't
might be him.
predictable.
Yeah,
Right?
That wasn't. No.
Because you struggled with it quite a bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, in the moment,
the last time we saw someone be that dominant in the immunity challenges, that Mike ended up winning his season. So there's good reason to think
Yeah.
that Brad had a decent
Well,
shot
I made
at
my
it.
decision days ago, and I thought I'm not going to say I won't go in and change it, but I really, I have done better in the past if I think it through, make a decision, and don't go back and change it 15 times.
Tell you what I liked even more was the listener feedback shows, and we did some great interviews.
Austin's, yeah.
So I think the experience overall was a huge positive, fun experience this season.
Well, and I actually enjoyed most of the reunion show, which I don't always.
Oh, we forgot to say
I thought
that.
it was done very well.
He did excellent with the reunion
I
show.
thought so too. Best in a very long time.
Yes, hands down. He caught a lot of the people. Yeah, he skipped over some. But that was, I don't know that I needed to hear from, she voted out her mom. I definitely didn't need to hear from Caleb. So who else didn't he talk to?
He didn't talk to Tony.
Tony kind of got included, but yeah,
And yeah,
didn't talk to him.
they showed him.
Yeah,
Didn't talk to JT.
right. That was okay.
Didn't talk to Haley.
That's totally fine. She's a cobra.
And didn't talk to Debbie.
Perfect.
That was good.
Yeah.
Did Sierra say anything?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's right, she did.
Yeah.
Andrea? I don't remember hearing.
Works for me.
Michaela did.
Yep.
Ty did. Sari did. Everybody else got to say something.
Yep. It worked. You don't have to hear from everybody.
Troy was having a
Special.
trouble or understanding that no, you're still in the final three. You don't get to vote.
Yeah.
He's
But
like, I'm
yeah,
not
the reunion
following
show
you.
was much improved. So I was afraid
thought
because
so.
Ty was back, we were going to get some Sia moment again and all that. And like you said, we didn't get any of that crap. So that was
Yeah,
good.
and we didn't-
Celebrating Sari, totally fine with that.
Oh yeah, me too.
Celebrating somebody from
Though
the cast.
there will be people who won't because they weren't fans of Sari,
Yeah,
and that's okay too.
That's okay. But it's about the cast. It wasn't about
Right.
someone that had nothing
Yeah,
to do with the show.
exactly.
Yeah,
They at
so
least stayed
reunion
within
show,
the cast.
Thumbs up.
I would actually prefer that everyone got 30 seconds, if possible. But
Yeah, I guess I'm a little confused. I don't know why I don't have an overwhelming positive feeling about the season, even though I've said all these positive things. I just don't
well,
feel
maybe
like it's
because
there.
it's over
just
now and you're
uneven.
having that little post-season
No.
feeling. "No, it's over
I don't think it's
now."
that. No, I don't think it's that. Besides, we're not done.
Well,
We've
that's
got-
true. We've got
we've
listener
got-
feedback show, and we've got
We've got some interviews
Interviews
to do tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yeah, and the listener feedback show, and I'm looking forward to hearing what the other fans thought about the finale, thought about the reunion show, what their take on things are, how you and your friends and families reacted.
what would have made it more special for you.
Okay, yeah, sure. If it wasn't special enough, I thought it was overall, even though it was too jam packed. That part, you know, going in
was
with a
full.
final six is too much. You don't get enough of the social points, but it did feel like it had a good flow. You and I were fine with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't seem like we were having trouble too much keeping up with what was going on. Sometimes it
No,
challenges
not like
us.
previous episodes where we've gone, wait, what? What
Yeah.
happened? What did I missed that?
And maybe we
you
missed
look
some
away
things
and
that
it's
we're
like,
not aware
I'm
of.
missing.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing what the other fans thought about it. And the voicemail line, 206-350-1547, toll free, 844-643-8737, the email, Joanne and Stacy Show @gmail. Get that feedback in by noon Saturday. We'll be putting together the final listener feedback show of the season, and we're looking forward to hearing what you thought about heroes versus healers versus hustlers too, and what that means to you, and what you may or may not know about it. I know some of the cast is already out there. I don't think the complete cast is out there. Okay.
But we don't know them anyway, so
No, they're all new
people.
Yeah, so that part I'm
Yay.
excited about for sure. This one was what it was, and I'm good to wrap it up on Saturday, and I'm looking forward to a new cast in the future.
yeah, and more beautiful scenes of Fiji.
Yes, more of the Fiji. Yep, like that a lot. And just a quick reminder, try to keep your feedback in that 3-minute range. It can be, I'm sure we'll have a lot to do. But I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts.
Yeah, me too.
Anything else?
Nope, I think that's it. Let's go work on questions.
All right. Have a good one.